Okay, it is Tuesday, April 7th, around 10:30 in the morning, and woke up the same thing as yesterday. Woke up around 5 or 6 and I had another melody right in my head right away. And again, it's like that Carole King type of 70s singer-songwriter, which is enjoyable, but it's not really fitting for me. But if you get a melody in your head, you have a song idea, you want to try to get it out as best as possible. So excuse the singing on these. Just picture like a voice like that, the Carole King classic type of voice like that. It's this one's like a ballad too. It's weird. It's definitely that 70s singer-songwriter era, the Joni Mitchell, Carole King. I don't know who else to really, maybe Jackson Browne, like that whole scene that was kind of mellow, spiritual type of songwriting. And yeah, I don't listen to that stuff all the time, but I do enjoy it when I do find a new album from the 70s, even Elton John early stuff. Even Billy Joel. Some people give Billy Joel shit, but he's got really good songs, so I respect it. It's a different feeling when you listen to 70s production, 70s albums that were made like albums, like they had a flow, Neil Young stuff. I feel like these, not that that doesn't exist today. There's plenty, so many artists that worry about that stuff. So I'm not going to say everything was better in the 70s. Like, I wasn't even born in the 70s. So I'm not one of those people who's like, the music today sucks. I really do try to find new stuff. I really do, but it's tough to keep up with stuff. I'm not complaining. I'm just lazy. I try to do that stuff on Spotify or Album of the Year, The Needle Drop, other places like Taste Like Music, which is a really good YouTube channel, and they'll do list of the best music coming out sometimes, various places. Taste Like Music got me to the 70s though. They always go back in time to the 60s, late 60s and 70s and rank albums. But there's plenty of places online that, even if they're like corporate plants, I don't care. As long as they're leading me to good music, then I'm happy to find young artists, modern music in any genre, and give it a chance because I want to hear what people are listening to today, like young people, more from a business perspective, but I never really set out to do that. Like, I'll listen to modern pop music and, like, all right, I got to write songs like this to make money. I don't think like that, but it's still good to absorb what's popular financially on the radio because that's what I really want to do as a career. And I've never made money off any of my music. So it's something I don't do that I should do more, but it's tough. I want to do a lot of things all at once. Everything, what's that movie called? Everything All Together at Once or whatever it was called. Really good movie. Now I got to Google that. So Everything Everywhere All at Once or something like that. The Everything Bagel. That's probably the best movie I've seen. Everything Everywhere All at Once from 2022. If you never saw that movie, that's one of the trippiest, coolest movies I've seen. Maybe it's comparable to like the weirdness of Being John Malkovich, but it's more of a story that you can follow easily. I guess I watched it a couple years ago, and it was just so geniusly done. It's classic, but I'm going off track. For some reason I had that in my head. But the song today is very similar to the one yesterday, so I guess I am making an album called Aggravated Empires or Aggravated Empires. I'm not sure if I even like that title, whether singular or plural. But the song today is very similar to the one yesterday. It's in that vein of Carole King stuff. and it's called Safety of the Flat Earth. So maybe there's a punk rock element to it. I just think of the Bad Religion song, Flat Earth Society is building here today. I forget the words. But yeah, the reason I always like Bad Religion, besides the music, the lyrics are so captivating. And I remember hearing that song, Don't Tell Me About the Answer, 'cause then another one will come along soon. And that song was pretty inspirational, monumental in my punk rock life as a teenager and later. I think I got, yeah, it was the All Ages, which was like a Bad Religion compilation and it kind of a greatest hits type of thing. And I never heard that song, The Answer. That one stuck with me. I just really like the melody, but I always mention free concerts that I like on YouTube, but I think it's still on YouTube. Bad Religion a couple years ago did a Decades concert where they played all their songs from the 80s, like an hour concert. And then they played all their songs from the 90s and then the 2000s. It was really cool. They just picked maybe 10 songs each and just perfectly played them. It was so good. And I don't know if it's still available on YouTube. It might have been from a copyright strike. Somebody probably ripped the DVD or something. But if you do get a chance to watch that, check it out. It's really good. If you're new to Bad Religion, that's perfect. You could listen to their 80s stuff, 90s stuff, and then later stuff. But yeah, I'm talking about Carole King mixed with Bad Religion. That's kind of a weird merging of artistry, but that's where my head's at today, I guess. But this song is called Safety of the Flat Earth. It's kind of a little bit happier than the song yesterday. And it's got a cool melody. I think I like the melody of this one better because it's more simple and I can remember it better. Yesterday I was scatterbrained. I kept, at least a couple of times, I think I had to pause the recording because I didn't know how the melody went. I'm not sure how the instrumentals would break up the song. This one's more clear to me right now, at least. So let me get it out of the way, then I'll speak a little bit more of my nonsense. It's called Safety of the Flat Earth. And I don't know if this is another piano song. Maybe there's more instruments on this because during the music breaks, I'm going to try to go through this whole song all at once. And then I'll mention where I hear the music breaks in between the verses, and what kind of instruments I hear, and whatever. So here is verse 1. There's safety on the flat earth in dignified retreats. Flip a dime and have a laugh and multiply and multiply and multiply and multiply. Dun dun dun. This is the music break. Right after the first verse, I like putting a little break. Dun dun dun. So that's probably piano, maybe some strings as well. I don't know if there's drums on any of these songs. I don't hear drums in my head too often. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. So it's really basic, which is my style more than trying to make complicated musical statements. I like the simple stuff. I always go back to the Tom Petty quote. I think it was Tom Petty that you can tell a good song if you can just strip it down and play it on an acoustic as simply as possible. I think that's attributed to him, but a lot of people probably say stuff like that. So after that last line, and multiply, and multiply, the short instrumental, dun dun dun, just mimicking the vocal melody, dun dun dun, Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Then you go to verse 2. Words too fast collapse the path, a century away. Eclipse the fee and counterattack. Not so high, not so high, not so high, not so high. I'm not sure how I want to do that because now I have a different idea in my head that you go like eclipse the fee and counterattack. Not so high, bum dun dun. Not so high, dun dun dun. Not so high, dun dun dun. Not so high. I think I like that better. It gives it more space to breathe. So I'll probably go with that version. Then you go into another music break. You could mimic like the verse melody completely. Maybe more strings on this. Dun 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 dun. Then before I get to the chorus, I wanted to add another of that ending verse line. So I came up with the transition to the chorus. I guess it's also just a pre-chorus. You could call it whatever you want. The echo tired, dun dun dun. The echo tired, dun 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 dun. The echo tired, dun 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 dun. The echo tired, dun dun dun. Then you go into the chorus. Originally, I thought this was more of a bridge, but I don't even care what you call it. It just fits this, I think. So I'm just calling it a chorus right now. And let me try to remember how it goes. The echo tired, dun, the echo tired, dun dun dun. Awake and replaced, body snatched tenderly to await the escape with the medicine inside. It multiplies, dun dun dun. It multiplies, dun dun dun. Not so high, dun dun dun. Not so high, but dun dun. I'm gonna have to pause it here because I don't think I sang. I don't think I did the chorus correctly. I'm gonna pause it really quickly and listen to the original version I had when I woke up this morning. Alright, let me try to sing the chorus again. Awake and replaced, body snatched tenderly to await the escape with the medicine inside. It multiplies. I might have to tweak it, but that's basically away and replace, body snatch tenderly to await the escape with the medicine inside. It's almost going like a Frank Sinatra type of thing. There's a bit of a crooner element to that, I think. It makes me think of My Way a little bit. There's a weird melody to My Way that's, I think, the same as Life on Mars, David Bowie. That's kind of a crooner song too. maybe I'll share that. Life on Mars. If you never heard Aurora, I think she's like from Sweden or somewhere around there. If you never heard Aurora, she does the most amazing cover of that song, Life on Mars. So I'll include, since I'm weirdly female centered right now, usually the opposite. When I did all my punk stuff, I don't think I included any female voices. It was all Dead Kennedys, Pennywise, it was all testosterone. This time all I'm hearing is like the Phoebe Bridgers and the Carole Kings really carrying the melody of this. So I'll link Life on Mars and My Way, Sinatra, because that's kind of what that chorus reminded me of when I sang it that second time. So after you get done the chorus, you could transition pretty quickly into the last verse. So, not so high, dun dun dun, not so high. And because I hear the piano, I feel like the piano would make those transitions kind of seamless as you go into the third verse. And the third verse is pretty basic. It's the same melody as the other verses. Still safety on the flat earth in robo marketing. Establish worth and verify music. Sorry. And robo marketing. Establish worth and verify music worth the fight. Dun dun dun, but not so high. Dun dun dun, music worth the fight. Dun dun dun, not so high. This could probably go right into the outro. So I'm not even going to call it an outro. It's just a continuation of the last verse. Because originally I woke up again like 5 minutes after I had this idea. I did the chorus or the bridge idea, and it was all scattered in my head. And then I was like, that would be a cool outro. But when I listen to it again right now, it's the same melody as the ending of the verse. So that's really the repetitive section of this song. So, music worth the fight. Dun dun, not so high. Dun dun dun, avert your eyes. Dun dun dun, in my line of sight. Dun dun dun, but not so high. Dun dun dun, avert your eyes. Dun dun dun, my line of sight. Dun dun dun, not so high. Dun dun dun, not so high. Dun dun dun, not so high. So you could get weird with the different ways of singing that simple melody, and it would just fade from there. You could potentially go back to the chorus again, but I don't know if that's weird to just sing the chorus once. That's why I thought it was more of a bridge, because this song is kind of long. I'm thinking, I don't know how many songs I could come up with in this style, in this vein of 70s singer-songwriter, which I'm not an expert in. If I go through my list of influential albums in my life, which now is like 750 albums completely, I'm trying to get to 1,000, but I haven't really been working on that or listening to new albums lately. The rule I had when I made that idea originally, make 501 album list, because I listen to all these podcasts that go through people who have done that. I forget the guy's name, Robert Cal or something, and he did a book or something where he listed 1,001 albums to listen to before you die. And I just thought that was a cool idea. Not that I'd never heard of it before. People always make lists like that, or ranking lists. I'm kind of addicted to that sometimes because I want to do the same thing. During 2020, that was a big therapeutic way for me to disappear. Taste Like Music would look them up on YouTube. I've mentioned them before. They do discographies of all kinds of artists and they rank yearly lists and all these things. They're really, really entertaining and knowledgeable. So I was saying on my list, I have about 750 albums that I've listed that were influential in my life, and it's all over the place. But I don't think I have a lot of Laurel Canyon type of stuff. Like, of course, I did put Joni Mitchell, Hajira. I put Jackson Browne, The Pretender. And I'll include some Laurel Canyon stuff, I guess. 'Cause that's a book I bought, but I never read. I think it's just sitting on my Amazon Kindle shelf that I never really went through the story of Laurel Canyon and all that stuff. So I'll include Joni Mitchell's song from Hajira. Any of those songs are just, that's my favorite album of hers. Jackson Browne, I'll try to find something off The Pretender or a song that maybe fits the style of this one. But really, The Pretender connected with me just because of the title track, but the album's good. A lot of people probably wouldn't pick that as his best, but I really enjoyed that album. But I'll go through maybe some of his earlier ones, because I don't know a lot of his stuff, to be honest. I never really went through his entire discography. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stories, but I don't have a lot of albums from that type of 70s singer-songwriter. I put Captain Fantastic. I put, even though that's not really Laurel Canyon, but similar, the Elton John stuff. And yeah, all that 70s singer-songwriter stuff. I don't know if that exists today, that style of music. I don't know what would be similar in that vein. I don't really know. I'm sure there's people very inspired by that stuff that try to make it in their own fashion, which is what I'm doing right now. But it's weird for me because it's not something I really set out to do until yesterday morning when that song popped in my head. So it's kind of cool to be a writer like that who can go from a stupid juvenile punk album where I'm talking about porn star resumes and autographed anal beads, and now I'm trying to summon Carole King stuff, which I always thought was sappy and a part of that adult contemporary B101. But, you know, I'm trying to not be like that as a 44-year-old, trying to consume art for the sake of art and the sake of good songwriting. And I think I've gotten better over the years. I'm not like I was when I was 13 years old. What's this? I don't know. I don't even think I was that cynical. Maybe more in my 20s. I was like, oh, that's a radio song. You can't listen to the radio. So, yeah, when you're a kid, I don't think you have cynicism yet until you get a more arrogant ego in your later teens or 20s. So I don't think I'm like that anymore. I can, like, when I used to thrift for records, for example, I had like maybe 400 to 500 classical albums. And I never thought I would be interested in classical music as much as I was, but the records were the way, that was the gateway drug to classical music. I would find all these cool vinyl, like perfect vinyl from the 60s or late 50s, and they look like brand new. And I'm like, these are like 70 years old, these albums. And even if I don't know the composer that well, I would buy them, and just because the cover art would be cool or whatever. And vinyl, classical music on vinyl sounds so good. Not that I had a great system. I had very crappy system. But yeah, vinyl records expanded my interest in Berlioz, and I know that the dude from Radiohead at Greenwood, he always cites Penderecki, if that's his name. I don't even know if that's how you say his name. Tchaikovsky stuff. And I don't know. I'm kind of away from that game, classical music. But yeah, collecting vinyl took me to different areas that I didn't really want to go down, or not that I didn't want to, that's the wrong way to put it, that I wasn't motivated or excited to listen to. But when you put on a classical record and you have the physical thing in your hand, it makes you look up the composer, just like a jazz album. You look up the composer, you look up the era that this was performed, the meaning behind it. I would buy the opera stuff too, like those box sets that had awesome art, mostly for the cover art, but I never really tried to listen to the opera stuff. Because that's a different dimension that I don't know if I can open myself up to opera because it's just overly dramatic and I don't really like that. But I can get down with classical music because there's an ambient flow to a lot of it where you can disappear, whether it's a happy or manic classical piece. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about this. But yeah, it's cool to one one week I'm trying to be punk rock, Dead Kennedys, and now I'm trying to be Laurel Canyon, 70s, Carole King stuff. Even though I don't know if she was really a part of that. I think she was more East Coast, but whatever. It's the same flavor at least. But I think she wrote for a lot of people. So like she did the James Taylor song. She wrote that song. But yeah, I guess that's the interesting part of this adventure or misadventure. I'm not sure what it is yet. Is to see where this goes. But I'm just trying to. As soon as I have an idea, I'm trying to share it because it's the complete opposite of what I did in my 20s and 30s. Even though occasionally I would share stuff, but it was more like I wanted to perfect the song. Maybe if I just shared song blueprints like I'm doing now, it would be more interesting and intriguing because people would form their own version of the song or add something that I'm forgetting to add, especially when it comes to drums, because I rarely hear the drums in my head. I can hear piano melodies, vocal melodies, bass even sometimes, violin sections, because that's the stuff I guess I pay attention to when I consume music. But I don't really listen scientifically or technically to drums to really understand. And even Siamese Dream, I listened to a podcast yesterday that talked about Siamese Dream and how Chamberlain, I think his name is, he was like the best drummer of that era because he would break his drum sets just because he was pounding it so hard in the studio. They had to like replace whatever because he would just beat the shit out of his drums. Even when I've listened to Siamese Dream like hundreds of times, and I'm more interested in the guitar layers than the drums, but now I have to go back and listen to the drums after hearing all the people agree that he was like the best drummer of that time. So it's cool to listen to music as a meditative experience, but also as a way to improve your own composition, your own skill as a songwriter, your skills as a songwriter. And I guess that's what I'm trying to do with stuff like this because it's a frontier I've never really tried. I never was like, I'm going to write a Laurel Canyon type of album. That was never something I even like imagined or or said I can never do that. I just never even thought about doing it until yesterday. But I'll see where it goes. I don't know if this will continue or this will go somewhere else. But I like this song. I think I actually like it better than the one from yesterday. It's more of a style that suits me. It's more of a pace and I really like the ending lines, like and multiply. Dun, dun, dun. That's what really reminds me of the 70s singer-songwriter thing. I remember as a kid watching like cable TV in the 90s, and you would get these commercials late at night, like for only $9.99 you could 3 easy installments. You could own 38 classic singer-songwriter from the 70s. And I just always thought it was corny as like a teenager, but I don't even know some of the other ones. I don't know the Carpenters at all. People say she's got like the craziest voice, but I never got into the Carpenters. Like I don't even know a lot of the other ones that will be included on that list. James Taylor, which I do appreciate a lot of his stuff. I just don't look at him like an album guy. I've never fell in love with a James Taylor album completely from front to back. But the Joni Mitchell, yeah, that would be maybe 3 or 4 of her albums I really thought were perfect. The Hissing of Summer Lawns, Hejira. Not a big fan of the blue one. The blue one is like that over dramatic that I don't really get down with. Maybe For the Roses I like because it was kind of minimal. And maybe one of her earlier ones that reminded me of Led Zeppelin. Her really folky, English folky stuff. Maybe it was Clouds or Songs for the Seagull, one of those really early ones. Because I did take the time to go through her discography. And I remember thinking, like, Led Zeppelin must be some kind of cosmic connection. I don't know if they ever, met and played music together, but I don't know, it just reminded me of that sound. But yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable about some of the other underground singer-songwriter stuff. I don't know a lot of it. But, I'm still learning all kinds of stuff. It's a process to really become educated on all these genres. But that's it for today. We'll see what happens tomorrow if I still get inspired to write more stuff in this vein. Hopefully it's kind of fun to go outside my limits or what I thought were my limits because I said it during the punk rock album last week. I'm more excited when I get a punk rock idea, but because I feel like I could perform punk rock because it can be sloppy. You don't have to be pitch perfect. You can play sloppy as long as it's fast and fun and just has that energy that you can't really explain in punk rock. But Operation Ivy had it. Rancid, and all that vein of people I talked about before. So there's something about the singer-songwriters of the 70s, and I don't think you can really mimic it. You could try to get influenced by it. Like it's like Tom Petty. Like you can't pretend to be Tom Petty. He's just a unique type of artist, unique voice, unique songwriter. You can try to write in that vein, like Pearl Jam did couple years ago. They had a song called like The Long Road or something like that. Maybe I'll link that song. It was definitely a Tom Petty tribute, which was really good. You could tell they were doing that as like a Tom Petty tribute, which I don't think they're trying to steal his stuff. They're probably fans of him and they wanted to write a song like as a tribute, or it's just maybe they were playing Tom Petty and they were like, hey, maybe we can write a song with these chords. That sounds cool, blah, blah, blah. So it's all good. As long as you're not outright trying to be deceptive, like a comedian stealing a joke from someone, pretending it's theirs. I don't think people would care in the music industry if you're like, yeah, I'm a fan of Radiohead, I'm a fan of Bjork, I'm trying to write music in that style, even though Bjork is all over the place, and that's a bad example. Maybe Radiohead too, but yeah, as long as you're not outright stealing and pretending that you invented this and that, like I don't think people would uh, think you're a thief, you're an artistic forger of any kind. And that's all I'm trying to do is get inspired by different genres. And I wasn't expecting this, but I'll say it if, and even this morning I didn't feel like doing it. I fasted for the last 2 days, Sunday and Monday. I didn't eat anything, hardly drank any water. I was doing another fast, and I was like, not feeling weak, but I didn't have the energy to use my brain. And I was like, I don't feel like doing this. And this morning also, I was like, I didn't feel like doing this, but I finally ate some food, and I was like, all right, let me get this out. But when I woke up earlier this morning, I really didn't feel like doing this again. But I'm not gonna whine like, oh, I have to reach for my phone and turn it on and speak words into it for 5 minutes. Oh my God, woe is me. So I'm not like that, but it's tough to keep um, feeling like this is a valid art form when I don't get feedback from people. I don't make any money. It's a part of it because your worth in a society is determined by your financial bank account. That's really how it works. So yeah, there's a dehumanization when it comes to that type of mentality. Because yesterday I probably worked like 12 to 14 hours on visual art side and trying to do other stuff. But when you have nothing to show for it in terms of monetary value, and all you're getting is like scammers on Instagram. Instagram, I still am addicted to it, but it gets weird, man. It's like, do I follow this person? I have to like, before I was just following anyone who followed me, I would just follow them. And then you start getting weird people with either no post or just weird profiles, and you don't know what to do at that point. So I don't know. I don't really care about that stuff. It's social media, and it's a good way to show your stuff, and I'm just using it for that purpose and trying to connect with people with the same mentality that just want to make cool shit. I even signed up for TikTok yesterday, but I don't really make videos, so I don't know how I could really utilize TikTok. I'm just sharing images of my visual art, and that's it right now. But yeah, there's a fakeness to the social media that's very apparent, very obvious, but it's still annoying that you have to deal with it. But that's all for today. I would usually say I have a song to do tomorrow, but I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Is this only a two-song album? Is it going to keep going? Because these songs came out like as soon as I woke up around 5, 6 a.m. So I'm just not going to force it. I'm not going to think about it and see what happens tomorrow if I can keep this train going.